this. Look how big it is. What? You beast, you monster. Look at this thing. What? Wow. How old? Yeah, buddy. What is up, beautiful soul family? What's happening? How are you feeling? What's going on? Coming to you live from the woods in the UK. I'm just having a little stroll through, and I thought, why not jump on the phone and do a little nature-inspired spiritual realization sharing offering from me to you. And so this ain't your thing. This isn't going to be fast-paced. It's not going to be lots of edits. This is just me sharing from my heart to yours. So if you're not interested, it's cool. And if you are, take a deep breath and imagine yourself walking through this beautiful, beautiful old growth forest. Springtime here in the UK. And there are just, I keep seeing these big trees. Big old trees like this guy back here. Ding. And I'm feeling super inspired by being on this land and by being in the presence of these wise, old, beautiful life forms, basically, that are participating over huge periods of time in the symbiotic cycles of pristine nature, where everything, every life form is all cooperating to assist and help each other through existence. From these big trees that, I mean, this is a fir tree, so it doesn't shed its leaves, but a lot of these trees are deciduous trees, and so of course the seasons roll around and they drop their leaves, and the leaves decompose and become the soil, and the soil feeds the microbiome in the under the ground, and then of course the other plants can grow from that, and there's lots of bugs under there. There's a whole world of life going on that creates living soil that is the only conditions whereby this much life can thrive in abundance. All facilitated and assisted by mycelium, fungus, like bacteria, microcosms within microcosms within microcosms, all the way up into the macrocosm, all connected and all symbiotically working together. And I say working, it's not even an effort. When everything is so beautiful and aligned like this, it's effortless, it just is. The tree is not trying to be a tree. The flower is not trying to be a flower. It just is. Effortless, divine, sacred, awe-inspiring teachers all around us, all around me right now. I'm very blessed to be here right now. So this is like not something that I was particularly interested in back in the day, when I was mostly interested in myself in terms of my ego and getting loads of views and getting loads of likes and feeding myself and boosting myself, and definitely wasn't an asshole, and I had intentions, good intentions, through the content that I was sharing, and I know a lot of people received a lot of inspiration for it, to get out and about, to the outdoors, grab a camera, take some photos, travel, discover yourself through the whole process. But now, this is where like the spiritual bit comes in, where we ask why. Or I've been asking why. Why do I exist? Why does any of this exist? We can say how. We understand how, in a way, in terms of like dissecting it and categorizing it, measuring it, scientifically proving what's happening in order to understand it better. But science doesn't answer the question of why, necessarily. Nor does it answer that question of why, for like, why do we exist? Why does humans exist? What's our part to play in this? If we are, according to ancient spiritual teachings, we are not separate from this. We are part of this symbiosis, in this relationship between self and other, between who we think we are, or who we are incarnated in a biological piece of technology that is born of this land, of Mother Earth, is dependent on the air and the oxygen that these trees are providing as they take the carbon dioxide from us, which we don't want and need, and then actually sequester that carbon dioxide out of the air and into the land, in doing so growing their own life forms biologically. And we're participating in this big cycle. The earth grows our food. All of this is facilitated organically by mushrooms, by mycelium. And so what's my point? I'm not getting to any point. I'm just discussing this. I'm just open to it. But what's been coming up for me as I've been walking through these beautiful spaces is this feeling of connection to it all. And I say feeling very specifically because I mean that when I say it. I literally can feel it in my senses. And my sensory experience is one that I am becoming more and more aware of. So talk about going on a healing journey, talking about like becoming more available to give and receive love, to accept ourselves, and all of these things are like, all of these experiences are happening, of course, to us. Just try and balance my phone on a tree here. Precarious? Yes. Where else I can balance on this? I mean, look at this moss. Old moss. Where is a precarious tree balancing situation I can take advantage of? Oh, it's just endless. Endless. Would you look at that? Look at this tree. The whole thing is fucking covered in moss. It's so beautiful. Untouched until now. Just more of it. Look. This one is covered in moss. I don't know why that makes me so happy. I found a place to balance the phone. So, coming back to what does it mean to exist? What does it mean to be here right now? How do we know that this is real? Because we can feel it. We feel it with our senses. Obviously, we can smell it, we can see it, we can taste it, we can touch it. We can feel it. Our nervous system is activated. Our nervous system is receiving signals and we are processing them, and it is formulating our reality via our sensory experience, how we feel. Think about it like this. Love. What does love feel like? Because a lot of the spiritual teachings are like, everything is love. Everything is love and consciousness together. So it's like love is the creative energy that brings things to life, but consciousness is the structure through which it creates itself, if that makes kind of a bit of sense. So people talk about love a lot. People are like, oh, say I love you. Love is like, what is love? Like, this is a question that I've been asking myself, because the way I learned what love is ended up hitting dead ends every time. I'm like, oh, that actually wasn't love. That actually wasn't love. That actually wasn't love. So now, after a while, I'm like, okay, let's just hit the brakes, because the pattern is that I'm going out looking for love, but I'm not finding it. I'm discovering all the things that aren't love. And let me know if you can relate to this. Like, do you know what love feels like? Would you recognize it if it coursed through your body? Like, would you recognize it? Have you cultivated the emotional intelligence to be able to at any moment check in with your sensory experience, including your emotional experience, which is the energy that is moving through your physical body. Moving, as in, like, that's the main thing. It's like, it comes in waves. These emotions come in waves. And so love maybe is an emotion. Maybe it's can be perceived as an emotion. And that people say that it comes from the heart, like this space here. And this is in alignment with a lot of spiritual teachings, like Eastern philosophy, around the heart literally being the love center. Like, this is our energy center. And recently we've been blessed in our family to have another newborn baby, Sage, whom I share a birthday with, little Pisces in the family. And I've been noticing more when babies laugh. I mean, Sage, we haven't really listened to her laugh yet because she's literally just a little squishy sack still. But when a baby laughs and everybody's crowded around, like, make it laugh again. When a baby smiles and laughs, everybody just stops what they're doing and they're like, oh, that's what love feels like, I think. This is what I'm discovering. The laughter of a child, a laughter of a baby, where it just like cuts everything out and you're like, oh, that's actually lovely. Like, the innocence of a child. So yeah, these children haven't yet been, they haven't yet picked up and had like distortions programmed into them. They're innocent. So when a child really laughs, the sound of it and the energy like permeates through everybody. And if you're open to feeling that kind of joy and love, then you will feel it. But it's not coming from outside of you. What's happening that I'm understanding, it's like if I say I love you and I like hug you and I give you love, you're not taking my love. Well, you can take it, but what really is happening is that my love is activating the love that is already within you. It's like getting through the layers if you let it in. So there, we build up these walls around our heart and around ourselves, and we don't let love in because we've had some kind of experience that teaches us and tells us that that's not safe, because then it might get taken away again. Or maybe we have this strange relationship with joy or happiness, or so all of these, we go from innocent child that knows exactly how to laugh and be super present and doesn't have any kind of programming and conditioning around it to like stop it from giving and receiving love, the transaction of energy in that sense, and then if we want to feel love again as an adult, we then have to sort of unpack that and peel back some layers, which I've been doing over the last few years, to discover now I am familiar with what it feels like to feel joy and love and to feel light in my body. Because when we are allowing these high frequency energies and these high frequency emotions to move through us, and we allow them to come through, I'm less dense, I'm less matter, I'm less particle and more wave. If that makes sense on the quantum level. Like, I'm just allowing, I feel lighter. And gravity hasn't turned down, it's just there's more energy to lift me up. Where does this energy come from? Because it doesn't come from me. I'm not the source of that energy. I'm the conduit for it. I'm the vessel through which it comes. And that energy can look like enthusiasm. I think the etymology of the word enthusiasm, like enthusiastic, roughly means like to be enthused is to have the energy of God moving through you. And inspiration. Maybe there's a thought that has dropped into your consciousness about something you need to do for the next step, or an idea that you would like to manifest, and it activates your heart and it activates energy within you, and suddenly you've gone from being like here to here. Where does that energy come from? because you're feeling inspired to take action and to manifest a consciousness, an idea that has dropped in as consciousness into your field of awareness. And that idea has its own life and wants to move through you and be manifested through you. And so it's on you to decide and choose whether or not you're going to follow that inspiration and actually take action from that space to create something that's maybe needed in the world. And yeah, so all of this, I'm saying all of this to say that everything is energy. Everything is energy. Like, that's the main sort of spiritual teaching that I keep bringing back down and keep bringing back down from like my psychedelic experiences to my deeply present and aware experiences of everyday life, that I can bring back down, that everything is energy. Emotions, our physical body, the wind, like the whole thing is energy. Of course, nothing isn't energy. So, when I stand by this tree, I'm literally, I'm propped the phone up against the tree here, and I can become present with the tree, like this guy here. And by present, I mean not in my head, not thinking about something. I'm not sitting here holding onto the tree going, oh my God, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm hugging a tree. This is ridiculous. I wonder what time dinner is. Is there enough fuel in the car to get home? Like, I wonder what's on TV tonight. All of that, calm that, clear that, allow it all to come and go, and come into a space of like awareness, an expanded state of awareness. Really easy to do in nature, in my experience, because there are birds tweeting, there's wind moving through the trees, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of frequencies around, sounds that I can tap into and just listen. Meditation teachers encourage people to do that when they're dropping into meditation, to listen to and feel and be super hyper aware and focused on the sound and the feeling and the sensation of the air moving through your nose, so that you've got something to focus on. And then you can just drop into this depth. But to me, it feels like time is like stretched out. Well, there's no real measure of it. It's almost like a timeless, outside of time and space moment where my consciousness and my awareness is so present and so here that linear time doesn't exist to me. I'm just right here, right now. And from that space, I can be in my body and feel subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, threads and textures. Like even now, as the breeze kind of lifts and I feel it on my skin, and I'm checking in with my body, there's like a goosebumps feeling that's rising up from the ground, up through my back. That's energy. Whew, it feels good. It feels like the tingles, like and people are like, oh yeah, that's my guides guiding me, and that's like angels touching my shoulder to let me know that I'm safe, and like whatever the fuck however you want to structure and call it. This is the thing that people are missing. They're missing the main event in their lives because they're so distracted by what's going on around them and what's happening in their mind, that they're missing the pure depth and joy of being deeply present with your own experience in this now moment. And that doesn't mean that we chase after bliss experiences all the time, but we are open to having them a lot more, and so we will have blissful experiences a lot more. We also might have to do a bit of excavation work around our heart and break down some of the barriers that we built up and some of the walls that we put up to protect ourselves, so that we can actually participate in the exchange of energy and the receiving of energy. And so knowing that a life form like a tree is the combination in duality in this realm of duality, yin and yang, north, south, right and wrong, hot and cold, love and consciousness come together. Energy, it's all energy, love and consciousness. And the love is the creative force. This is my understanding, subject to change always, because I want to keep myself open to receiving something different and like an upgrade of my knowledge. But this is what's been really interesting to me, is this idea of this theory of love and energy being the two combinations. So the way the tree grows and is structured is based upon the consciousness that it is. So these trees have consciousness. The birds have consciousness. Everything, our planet, Mother Gaia, has its own planetary consciousness as well. Different levels of it. We have individual and collective consciousness. You are you, and you have your awareness and your consciousness. The part back here somewhere that's seeing all of this and experiencing it, that's your consciousness. But you are participating in a collective consciousness with the rest of us, where we have collective ideas, and they too are consciousness. An idea is consciousness. We think, hey, suddenly one day have a really good idea, and the ego's like, oh yeah, I had such a good idea, I'm so fucking clever. In reality, like, you just received the idea, motherfucker. Don't claim that shit. Like, I used to claim all my good ideas like I was the fucking king of ideas, and then I realized actually I'm just opening up my consciousness and my awareness to receive one, and my imagination is broad, and my belief in myself is also deep, that I can achieve things. So I'm opening my imagination and my consciousness up to receiving ideas that want to be manifested in this reality, because they're just swimming around up there in the big cloud. And they're like, oh, that Ben dude seems to think he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Let's drop into his consciousness and see if we can get manifesting in this reality. Ideas are consciousness. But they only come into life and come to form when we put energy and focus our consciousness and our attention into them, but then also put our love into them. So I've found, and I am finding continually over and over again, that if I want to feel more love and more peace, which I fucking do, because who doesn't want to feel more peace in a crazy fucking world that we're living in right now? Please give me some peace. Like, hello? I can cultivate that within myself, and I am learning to do that through understanding energy and through understanding the subtleties. It's so subtle sometimes. It's so subtle. Dropping in, practicing my meditation, practicing my presence so that I can be with whatever emotions are coming through me, and taking back sovereignty of my mind and my thoughts. So I'm not just racing into these sort of self-destructive thoughts that I've picked up from somewhere, where I'm like, I'm not good enough, you can't do that, oh, of course you're a failure. All of this stuff that we picked up from random people and things, these things that, like, if we allow those thoughts to continue moving, the thoughts have frequency and vibration to them as well, which our body then picks up on, because we all know that, like, for the body responds. It doesn't know whether or not the story is real. Whatever the story is that's going on upstairs, the body will respond to it emotionally. For example, you know when you're like, I've lost my keys, I've lost my wallet, like, where's my passport, I need to go to the... Boom, fear. And we need that fear as well to kick us into action, right? To be like, okay, find the fucking wallet, find the car keys, we got to go. Like, and then this story plays out. What if I don't find it? I've got a flight in 2 hours. I need to go and do the cascade of chaos that might ensue if I've actually lost my passport or my wallet. All of that starts running. And then, motherfucker, it was in my back pocket the whole time. Relief. We can go. Let's go. You're literally experiencing the worst case scenario, and your body is reacting to it emotionally as if it's some kind of real life disaster, even though the story only exists in your mind. And then as soon as the story in your mind changes to be like, oh no, here it is, found it, we're good, let's go. Oh, relief. So rather than being subject to these intrusive negative thoughts that we can pick up, we all pick them up throughout our lives, or we receive them from other people. And like, it's happening, it's a bit of a battlefield out here, you know? Rather than going with it, just willy-nilly, just be like, take a moment to pause. And the pausing is a practice that you develop, and I'm developing during my meditation practices, but then I bring it into my everyday existence by practicing the practice. I don't go like this in the supermarket. I just take a deep breath. Is this thought true? Oh, see, that person hates you. You must be a terrible person after all. Are you a terrible person? Have you done terrible things? Yeah, I've done some pretty bad things. But are you a terrible person inherently? No, I believe that I am inherently actually love. I'm the embodiment of love. And yeah, I fuck up sometimes, but I'm a really good person, and I trust my heart. I trust that I'm a good person. I trust in the goodness of my heart. So I'm not a bad person after all. And even though someone might have given me a bit of a side eye at the fucking supermarket or whatever, it doesn't make me a bad person. So this is like a process of being aware of my thoughts, being aware of the reaction in my body, because usually sometimes my thoughts are wandering off and then I just feel anxious. I'm like, okay, check in with what's going on in my head. Nothing. And is there someone who's being anxious around me and I'm feeling their vibration? Yeah, okay, send them love. You can alchemize. We can alchemize other people's shit around us as well. If someone is in a panic state and you need to help them, with boundaries, right? We don't always want to take everybody else's energy on board, but we can maintain a calmness within us that might have been triggered by their craziness and help calm the situation energetically. That is deep work, to be in a situation that is chaotic and hold the pillar of calmness and stillness and presence and awareness so that somebody can make a decent decision that isn't from fear and panic and chaos. Seems like a good reason to do all of these practices, no? Like in that moment, when that moment happens, when life inevitably throws us a curveball and we just get an avalanche of lemons and we're like, fuck man, I've been making lemonade for the last 4 years. Is this really more lemons? Couldn't we get some grapefruits going on in here? It happens. Life happens. Life is suffering a lot of the time. That's just kind of how it is. And how we navigate that, how we learn to navigate that, is the truest measure of how you show up as a person, how you navigate life, how you be in service of yourself and other people around you, and how you steward and carry and give love simply in your being, simply by existing. Because all of this is energy. And you can't fucking see most of it. In the total spectrum of light that is available, we see like 3.5% of it. The little rainbow bit, there's this whole other fucking massive spectrum of light and sound. These are just vibrations. So we are actually experiencing through our nervous system, through our senses, actually a very small proportion of reality, which you will soon find out if, and I do not recommend this, you take LSD or mushrooms or San Pedro or ayahuasca or any of these other psychedelics. You suddenly, all the veils are removed and it's like, whoa, I'm seeing and feeling and experiencing and merging with, or actually just seeing that I am all of this. Like, I'm already merged with it. It's been this since day one. Since day one, since the moment you were born, this has all been the same as it is. You are just now waking up to actually really how it is. And it's fucking exciting and it's fucking scary. And the cycles of death and rebirth around how you think reality works and who you think you are, I'm talking to myself right now, and this may be relevant for you as well. It's painful. It's a death and then birth. Death, rebirth. As we make space and we clear the filters and the distortions that ultimately are diluting the love that we allow to come from within us. and be shared. And that's the feeling of bliss and joy. That's the energy. That's the subtleness of existence for me anyway. Like the beautiful subtleties of energy. So when I'm standing by this tree and I drop into my body and I take my shoes off and I ground down into the earth, I may look like the biggest fucking hippie you've ever seen, and you know that there's a part of you that might be judging me, and you know that there are 10 million people out there who would laugh at me if they saw me standing by a tree like this with my bare feet. But what they don't see or feel is what I'm feeling, which is a deep connection to the consciousness of this tree that has been around for 100 years and has deep wisdom about the planet, about the soil, about the cycles of life, about how things work here on planet Earth. And you can drop into that and check into it. And if you're not interested in any of that stuff, just allow the tree and the earth to just like cleanse your fucking physical body of the negative energy that we pick up on a daily basis. Partly from wearing rubber-soled shoes. Get your bare feet on the ground. Get your bare feet on the ground and enjoy to have that negative energy taken away and cleared out and replenished by our beautiful, abundant Mother Earth, who asks for nothing in exchange other than to protect her and give gratitude and love back to her in an energetic sense of like deep presence and deep gratitude, where I'm literally using my mind and my body to give energy back to the earth, which feels good in itself. It doesn't deplete me, it restores the energy within me. It's reciprocated. But also love in action of picking up a piece of litter that's in the woods, or like just going litter picking, or whatever the action, you know how to love the earth. And if you're resonating with this, like now we're living in a different world. We're living in a different reality now. Very different. We're literally living in a different reality. I am not the same person as I used to be, because that person was perfect for that time in my life. But now I'm interested in some other shit. Now I'm like, of all the things that I'm interested in, that I think I'm interested in, how many of those things are actually mine? How many of those things are actually just things that I should feel like I should be interested in because other people are interested in them and they seem happy? How much can you strip it all back in a meditation and be like, okay, bare bones, like strip it back. Like, what do I desire in this lifetime? What do I desire to experience in this lifetime? Let's start at the foundation. For me, I'm like, I want to enjoy my time here. And that doesn't mean that I want to be happy all the time. It doesn't mean that I want to be blissing out in a peak experience the whole time. Joy is actually a perception. I could be in a lot of pain, physical, mental, emotional pain, and I can still zoom out to the consciousness that is who I really am and witness in a joyful awareness the experience that I'm currently having in my life. Even if that might seem like a chaotic nightmare, there's still a part of me that can go back here and be like, whoa, what a crazy experience it is to break your elbow and come off your motorcycle. I didn't have that kind of awareness when that happened 4 years ago. So I genuinely thought that I was the victim of my circumstance. And now looking back, I realized that actually it was all happening for me instead of to me. And when we can switch our mindset to be like, how is this helping me on a soul growth level, instead of thinking, fuck this, the world's out to get me, like, victim, I'm the victim, poor me, poor me, poor me. Sensitive and very touchy subject, of course, when we're talking about being the victims or the creators of our reality, because a lot of us actually are victims of some kind of trauma and abuse, be it psychological, physical, sexual. A lot of people are living with a lot of trauma, but a lot of people that I know that have suffered some of the most intense trauma, that have alchemized it and transmuted it, are living the most blissful and deeply grateful existence that I could ever imagine. And for me, I understand these, and I hear stories of what people have moved through, and there's a part of me that's like, I don't think I could do that. I don't know if I had the strength to move through what you've moved through and come out the other side more loving, more grateful, with a heart wide open and in service of themselves and other people in their community. Like, and I totally empathize and I understand why people who have suffered intense trauma and abuse would just say, fuck society, actually. I am the victim of all of this distortion, and I can't get over it. I won't get over it. I can understand and empathize that too. I suppose a lot of what I'm speaking to in all of this is like transformation, change. Sometimes we get so fed up of our own bullshit and our own pain that we're just like, I'm just done. Like, whatever it takes, I'm going to make some changes in my life, and I'm going to take action to create a different reality for myself. Because the messages are very clear sometimes from the universe, and the universe might be an abusive partner, and the universe might be just abusive people that we have around us, and a pattern emerging where, like, oh, I feel contracted and triggered by this, and actually it feels like at the depths of my soul I'm being invited to let go of that, leave that alone, and move on from that. It's huge. Do not underestimate the how big it is to make changes, intentionally make changes in your life, because you know you deserve better. It is a big task sometimes to make the changes that you know you need to make, because you know you deserve better, you deserve more love. And when you're not getting it from around you, you've got to start giving it to yourself. And then the transformational process and journey of coming back inwards and tapping into the deep, abundant well of love and energy that springs from within us, we start to understand that I actually don't need any of you motherfuckers anymore, because I've got everything I need inside me. Now, it doesn't mean to say we don't ask for support and call in our tribe, because we fucking need each other more than ever. We need that support. We need the healers. We need the deep friendships and the vulnerability and the space holding, because we're healing each other through that whole process as well. But when you find yourself coming into a space of understanding what love really feels like, maybe you find that you feel deeply loved, and that springs from within you when you're around certain people or doing a certain thing. That's just to help you remember, like the love that I'm sending you right now through this video, deep, deep love is resonating from me to you. It's a reminder that you have all of that within you already, waiting abundantly for you to just go, okay, fine, I'll let it in. And it's not, it's like letting it in so that it can come in and remind you and activate yours, and then you don't depend on it from someone else or from something outside of you. when we start to believe that we can only get love through something that's outside of us, that's codependency, and that can be switched off and taken away at any time. And when it does, ooh, where am I going to get my love from now? Well, it was actually always coming from within you. The thing outside of yourself was just activating it within. It didn't come from out there, it came from in here. And now with this more subtle sensitivity to energy and to life, and reverence and appreciation for the big mystery of why any of this even exists in the first place. Which, by the way, if you go down into that rabbit hole spiritually, the general teachings are, one of the main teachings is that don't think you know anything. Because as soon as you know something, you're blocking off learning more from it. So it's like people say, or the spiritual sayings go along the lines of like, those who know don't say, and those who say don't know. So you understand maybe a little bit the contradiction of me sharing this, because if I'm saying it, that means I don't know it. It's the unknowable, the mystery of life. And so I have to take something that is ineffable, like a 5-gram mushroom ceremony, and then I have to chop it and destroy it and carve it down and present it to you via words that are ultimately violent against the sacred thing that I've tapped into and that I hold dear to my heart, that experience, and what it activated within me, and the fears that it dissolved, so that I can spend more time living in love than in fear. And then once you start to tap into that, or once I start to tap into that, people who speak with this kind of confidence, where they're like, God's love is everywhere, and there's just like nothing you can say to bring these people down, and a lot of them happen to be like incredibly spiritually connected and wise. They just have this confidence that is kind of triggering almost. And then it's like you get a little taste of that, and it's like, I actually fucking understand to a certain degree why you are so confident. So, healing, transformation, change, awakening, expansion of consciousness, more spiritual terms that make me seem like I know what I'm talking about. These are things that I really want to speak to, but I'm very aware of this whole like new age spirituality thing, where I'm like tapping into ancient wisdom and then bastardizing it into some new age bullshit. I'm aware of that, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm not perfect. And this is really fun for me. I don't know about you. So I'm going to do it anyway and speak to these things with confidence in my heart like this, as if I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then in the end, just say like, I have no idea what I'm talking about with any of this. I am just on a path of remembering who I am and dissolving any filters that might be around my heart that prevent me from loving myself and my reality and my family and my community and you and these trees and life. Anything that's getting in the way of that, I'm interested in removing it, alchemizing it, transmuting it, to just throw a few more spiritual terms in there. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this like TED Talk vibe, long ass video. Thank you for indulging me. Let me know, please, in the comments if you're resonating, what you think, what your beliefs are, what your experience is with love, with the subtleties of energy and the increasing sensitivity on this journey. And just know also just that, like, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I fucking love you all. Like, more than I've ever loved you. And I wish you a beautiful year. I wish you a beautiful week. Whatever your day looks like, know that you can create the reality that you want to create for yourself. And I'm proving this to myself right now by changing my whole reality, by allowing myself to change who I think I even am. And this is one giant experiment, and it scares the fuck out of me to share it online as well, because it's like, what if it doesn't work? What if this whole thing is just a big embarrassing mess of me running away from myself or whatever, all this fears coming in? But I'm like, fuck it. Right now, as I'm speaking to you on this, I'm like feeling good, so it must be right. Blessings to you on your journey. If you feel like supporting me, just share this video, leave a comment, hit thumbs up. If you really feel like you want to invest in me, you can buy a piece of my artwork on my website. It's linked below, benjam.uk. Going to be bringing out some NFTs soon with some real world utility. So yeah, it's exciting times, and be gentle with yourself during these fucking crazy times on planet Earth. Be really gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. Because as we wake up, the process of waking up is painful, and people don't want to. Nobody wants to wake up. Allow the bliss and the healing vibration of love and all that good shit that springs from the heart. Allow that to heal you. Allow that to heal your mind and your body. Let it run through your veins. And let it spill out as your cup overflows. Let it spill out and bless everybody else around you with the excess energy that you have through tapping into the fucking Most High. And walk like you know that you are a fractal of God. Blessings. I love you.